Welcome to Face to Face, connecting theater makers to the public, a program from the Legacy Theater and socialdistancetheater.org.
Hey, I'm Colin Sheehan, the Artistic Coordinator and Director of Public Relations for Legacy Theater, and welcome to another episode of Face to Face. Today's guest is a dear friend of mine. She owns StudioOne in Branford, Connecticut, and is also the choreographer for Branford High School Performing Arts and Shoreline Theater Company through the Branford Parks and Recreation. Please welcome Paola Rarick.
Hi!
It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you too. I miss you so much.
I know, we've been talking on the phone, but we were together like every day.
I know.
From like December through March 13th-ish.
Yeah, and we were going to be continuing to be together every day too.
I know. So Paula, I direct the Branford High School musical with Mike Martone, our music director, and Paula's the choreographer. And she also, so we were in the midst of Sweeney Todd. We were supposed to open Sweeney Todd a week run when they called school. So she also helps choreograph our Shoreline Theater Company, which is run through Branford Parks and Recreation Department. So together we've done Hairspray, The Producers, The Addams Family, and Sweeney Todd. And hopefully Sweeney Todd is still going to happen at some point. We need it.
Yes, we do. We really do.
So how are you hanging in there?
Oh, I'm hanging in. I'm an extrovert and I love people. So this is hard for me, but I am hanging in. We just finished our first week of Zoom classes at the studio, and that was a little learning experience, but the first night was difficult to kind of figure out how to the tap and the sound on Zoom and everything. It was difficult, but then the next day went beautifully, and it was really well received, and people really enjoyed the classes, and it helped me even boost my morale as well, even though I'm really just doing this to keep the kids moving and to keep them engaged and connected.
Yeah, as you know, I'm doing virtual rehearsals too for Tabor Arts with Beauty and the Beast, and the kids really need it, but also I find that I need it too. Like just seeing their beautiful faces and hearing them sing, and just a check-in is always good because this is so strange for all of us.
It really is. It really is.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up? When did you start dancing? What made you come to be the owner of a studio in Branford?
Yeah. Well, I was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
And Evita!
Yeah.
Buenos Aires. Okay. You missed this.
I do. I really do. So yeah, I was born, and when I was 5 years old, we moved here to the United States, me and my mother. My parents got a divorce, and I came to live in the United States with my mother. And my mom was a very hardworking immigrant, just like trying to get by. And I remember her telling me that my teacher used to play the guitar. And she once said to my mom, I really think you should think about getting her in dance lessons, because every time I sit down and play the guitar and teach the kids to sing, and, we're having circle time, she just can't help herself. She stands up in the middle of the circle and just starts dancing. So from there, my mom found me a studio, and I started dancing competitively when I was younger, and that was a great experience. And then I stopped dancing for many years. And after having a child, when she was around 2 years old, I thought, I need something for myself. And I started taking classes again in the city and brushing up on my dance, and ended up getting hired by a studio here in Guilford. And from there, I met my business partner, and I had a business partner for 10 years at StudioOne, who we love and adore. She's actually teaching a Zoom class for us right now during this time. So we were together for 10 years, and just last year, my business partner left to just pursue other things, and it's just me at StudioOne.
And you do everything: tap, ballet, jazz, acro, from young to older.
Exactly.
That's great. And where can people find out some more information about StudioOne?
They can either visit us on our Facebook page, StudioOne Brantford, as well as Instagram, same thing, or StudioOneBrantford.com.
Perfect. What made you get into choreography for the stage, for musical theater?
Well, what made me get into that is that my daughter fell in love with musical theater, and I signed her up for a community theater to do Mary Poppins. They needed a choreographer, and I said, I don't do this. I don't do musical theater choreography. It's very different from what I do. And the guy just saw something in me. The director, his name is Chris, saw something in me, and he said, no, I think you're going to be great. And that's how I started. I signed my daughter up for a community theater. They found out I was a dancer. They needed a choreographer. And
That's awesome. That's awesome. And what are the challenges? Like, what's different between owning a studio and being a dance teacher and then being a choreographer for something that's theater related?
When I'm choreographing at the dance studio, it's very, very different. The intention there is to highlight skills that they're learning and incorporate that into the dance. The piece tends to be, it tends to have an arc, of course, and tell a story. Well, that's just the way I like to choreograph in general. But it's different because they don't stop and start singing. They're literally just dancing the entire time. So they're only telling the story through their bodies. As where in musical theater, we have our voices, we have dialogue, we have, the dancing, which all comes together to tell the story. So that's the difference there, is that I really had to transition from constantly dancing to realizing that the actors also need to make sure that they're saving their voices for when they need to be belting something or whatever it may be. And they also need to, there's very different ways to communicate the story in musical theater than there is in just a regular artistic dance piece.
Got it. So of the shows we've worked on, Producers and Hairspray with Shoreline Theater Company, Addams Family, and Sweeney Todd with Brantford High School, what has been either your favorite part or your most challenging part, or just a story or two that you'd like to tell the viewers?
Well, I loved our first year together with Hairspray. I felt like that was so much fun. The high energy dancing, loved it. It just was a blast to do. But I then went into Producers, and I handled that very differently the following year because I felt that Producers had so many quintessential dance numbers in it, and I didn't want to tarnish that in any way, and I wanted to honor that. So I really stuck with a lot of the Broadway choreography on that, and that was really challenging because what did we have, a 6-week process?
Yeah, it was like a little under, I think.
Yeah. So I'm teaching these very difficult tap moves and tap numbers to these kids. Some of them have not had, any dance experience.
And she says kids, but it's kids and adults. We really range from 13 to 65 or 70, all over many different towns. And we really just come together very quickly and put on the best show that we can.
Yeah, and all the way from, the oldest in the bunch to the youngest in the bunch ends up dancing in some way, shape, or form in the show. So it's challenging, but it's fun because people, I think in general, once they let their guard down and they feel safe, they feel safe at STC, they feel like it's a family. So once they let that guard down, they really enjoy it. They enjoy dancing. People like to move.
They do. And earlier, about transitions, earlier this year, you sort of went through a scary time. And I was fortunate enough to be around you when you were so inspiring to others. But can you let us know what you went through a few months ago?
Yeah. So in December, I was diagnosed with stage 1 breast cancer. And it just was very unexpected. I went in for a routine check. They found something. They said, looks like it's nothing. Come back 6 months later. So ladies, when they tell you to come back, come back. And then it did end up being cancer. I was in the middle of production with you with Sweeney Todd. And I was able to get my surgery. Luckily, it was very simple. It was a lumpectomy, and I was able to get my lumpectomy. I think, you know what? I got my lumpectomy on a Friday, and I was back in rehearsal on Monday. So while I had some moving restrictions, it was thankfully a very easy process physically. Mentally, it was scary. But I had great people around me. I was so happy I was in the middle of production because I had you guys all around me, and just getting back in the theater and doing my thing is what helped me to get through.
Yeah. You were really just so inspirational and such a positive force for not only the students and our adults in the summer, but just for friends. So I'm so glad you're in my life and we get to work together. And what are you most looking forward to when we get back to some sort of normal?
I am most looking forward to choreographing another show, 1, and 2, actually being in a classroom with my students and hugging them. That's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, well, we'll get there. We will. Thank you for being you.
I love you. You're the best. And thank you for having me on your show.
You're the best too. I'll see you soon. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Face to Face. We would like to thank our sponsors, Oak Tree Development and the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven, and Brad Ross for the themed music. You can follow us on legacytheaterct.org.